Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Denver Bronco Roundup. I'm your host, Keith Brugman. We're brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network. We're sponsored by the amazing Morgan Trinkets. I'm not alone, though, and joining me right at the last moment is my good friend. I'm going to say hello to him, Mr. Trevor Rocketman Salzman. Welcome to the show, sir. Not what we really wanted. I know that we were both all hoping in our hearts of hearts that we would see a different outcome than what we saw today. I called it a prove-it game. It was not what I wanted. Not what even I tried to put out there as a prediction, Trevor. Initial thoughts. We're coming off of this kind of a big loss, 41-10. What is your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean,
and welcome,
this is what,
by the way.
Yeah, no, again, it's great to be here once again. Whether it's a win or loss, we're always here to break down the game. But for me, I mean, this is what I was afraid of. This is why I predicted the Broncos to lose. Now, I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I only had them losing by 7 points. Obviously, they lost way more than that in this one. I just think that there's a separation and there's a difference between where the Ravens are at and where the Broncos are at as far as team building wise. The Ravens obviously are steps ahead of where the Broncos are on both sides of the ball. I think that was evident today and what happened, what transpired. Lamar Jackson's elite. He's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. He's an MVP candidate, and he's very hard to stop. But again, it's on both sides of the ball. I don't think there's one side of the ball or one person to blame for this. I think it's a team loss. It's a tough team loss. The Broncos over the last couple of weeks, have gotten lucky in the teams they've played with the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints, of course. The Saints were very injured when they played them. Let's be honest. The Carolina Panthers are one of the worst teams in the league. The Broncos haven't. My point here is they haven't faced stiff competition in a while, and a competitive team in a while. So I just think that again need to be a little bit of maybe this is a little bit more of a refresher of where the Broncos are at from a team building standpoint. Doesn't mean they can't make the playoffs. I want that to be clear. They can absolutely still make the playoffs. There's still a realistic chance that this Broncos team makes the playoffs, but they're just a little bit behind a little bit from, again, these Super Bowl contenders like a Baltimore and whatnot. That's the Ravens literally are a Super Bowl contender right now. So we have to just kind of keep in mind different quarterback, different scheme with Sean Payton and Bo Nix being here, and then obviously the defense being a little bit different as well. This team is just still building, I should say. But I think, again, keep your Broncos country, keep your heads up. There's still a lot of football to be played. This is a tough one to watch. I know, I understand. But I think there's hopefully, brighter days ahead for this football team. This is a growing experience as well. They can only get better from here, I think. And, I mean, again, it's a tough, very, very tough loss on the road. But, again, that you rebound next week, going in Kansas City and hopefully to get a win and take care of yourself in the division. Obviously, you got to win those division games in the AFC West.
You do. And Phil McLaughlin coming in here supporting the show on, tough days, man. It's tough to come in here and be like, hey, I want to invest into a podcast on a day that we lost, but he's keeping it real, just like you were talking about. He says, afternoon, Keith and Rocketman. Let's keep in mind, A, it's one game, and B, we will improve. Just got outplayed by a better team. And I definitely see it on the offensive side of things. When you have potentially two MVPs playing on offense for the Baltimore Ravens, I mean, you have a running back, the king, as they call him, that's already over 1,000 yards. We could be talking about easily a 2,000-yard rusher, and we don't get to see those all that often in this day and age of the NFL. On top of it, you got Lamar Jackson as well. That's developed into one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Got to give it up to him, man. And then they've got all the weapons around him, right? Offensively, this team just took it to the Denver Broncos. It did make me question a lot about this defense. Offensively, there were just opportunities that we couldn't overcome. We can't overcome getting an interception to start the game. We can't overcome going for it on fourth down so many times and getting nothing out of it. Not field goals, not touchdowns, not first downs. There was just too many missed opportunities. And when you get that far behind, then you're playing one dynamic of football, and it becomes very, very difficult to come back against a team like this, in my opinion. So got to get to a lot of the comments. Dan's coming in here. He was the first one in here and saying another loss versus the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore just owns the Denver Broncos. And Dan, I hear you. I feel you. It sure feels that way, man. I go back a long ways in my fandom. So yeah, Joe Flacco's touchdown pass in an AFC championship game is fresh in my mind. Let's just put it that way. It doesn't go away. So I also want to say we all have our own superstitions and our own thought processes sometimes about what brings wins and losses, whether you're a player, whether you're a fan. And one thing I will say is we try to keep it as realistic as possible. That being said, Ernie, we love you. We love you as a fan, but he's saying, go Broncos country only. Thanks to Pearl and Trevor, we lost because you guys both predicted a loss in this particular game. Ernie's prediction is you can't predict a loss or you'll get one. So that's his 2 cents on the matter, but we all have our own little superstitions. I wouldn't necessarily rack it up to Trevor or Pearl per se, but hey, we all have our own. I'll let you talk about that here in a second there if you want, Trevor. But got to get to Graham too. Just saying it was a very tough loss, as you reiterated many times, Trevor. He says I expected a loss, but it didn't make me feel better. Yeah. Sean Baker, eat that humble pie today. Get motivated for KC. Yeah. And Trevor, along those lines, thinking that we could go 1-1 as it was in his pregame prediction for this game. Graham also saying I was playing against Derrick Henry in fantasy football too. So yeah, that didn't help out any on that side of things either. Jerry Mertz coming in and says defense was terrible, but the Bo overthrows didn't help either. Yeah, the defense, like I said, it was surprising that how we didn't necessarily get any really good play calls against this offense. It seemed like every time it seemed like we thought we might have something, they had something play called against us, and then just the adjustments didn't necessarily come. And Trevor, like I said, you've been called out as far as predicting a loss. I want to get your thoughts on this defense, though. We had one of the top defenses, but we sure didn't look like it today. Jerry points it out as well. But what are your thoughts on this defense today? What happened?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I know that I predicted a loss, but I'm going to put it to everyone real. My opinion is, it's very easy for me to come on here for an hour and talk, and for any of us come on here for an hour and talk and say what you want to hear. We're just trying to give it to you realistically, and sometimes we're wrong, sometimes we're right. It's just what it is, and everybody has their own opinion. As long as you respect them, I think that's what the most part. That's what matters the most. And we appreciate everybody who listens in and takes time out of their day to react and kind of come in here and listen to us. But yeah, I mean, again, defensively, the Broncos just haven't faced a quarterback of this magnitude. With Lamar Jackson, he's just elite of elite. No quarterback all years, even. I don't think on his kind of his pedestal with him right now. He's just, again, an MVP candidate. I mean, you talk about Derrick Henry, but this offense, Baltimore Ravens offense, really starts with Lamar Jackson. Either he beats you with his legs or he beats you with his arm. We've seen that both today. And I just think it just speaks to how special of a player that Lamar Jackson is. What he does on the field. You're hoping that we will hopefully see that guy in our lifetime again, because it just doesn't happen all the time. The special player that Lamar Jackson is in the NFL. But yeah, I think the defense. I mean, I just think they lost contained with Lamar Jackson. They just let him kind of roam out there, do his thing. He was able to get outside the pocket. There was no containment whatsoever with him. I didn't feel like the pressure was there today from the defense. And you're putting your secondary in a real difficult situation, in a difficult spot when you can't get to the quarterback. And when you're not putting pressure on him. So I think that was a big factor in this one. Once Lamar Jackson started it off, Derrick Henry followed, especially going into the second half. He really kind of followed suit and kind of doubled down on what was not a good performance from the Broncos defense this year. Again, one of few bad performances we have seen from the Broncos defense, this year. But again, to me, it's a team game. It's a team game. It's a team loss. Either side of the ball, in my opinion, wasn't good and didn't do this team, any favors of what they did.
I agree. This is I threw it out there as the defense being, having a bad day, but you're absolutely right. This is two sides of the ball. Every time that we went for it on fourth down and we didn't get it, we were giving up great field position. And heading into halftime, this is a 17-10 game. This is a one touchdown game at halftime. The offense didn't do any favors in the second half. The defense came out a little flat in the second half. And all of a sudden, this game got out of control. It just got completely, but it was right there. It was in check. You go out there, you get a stop, you go down, you march down, you put a touchdown on the board. We're talking about a tie game in the third quarter. The Broncos end up having what? Like, I think it was 5 snaps and I don't know, like 6 yards in the third quarter, I think it was. I mean, we just got owned coming out of halftime. It was all over after that. There was no turning back. Graham's coming in here talking about the defense. He's saying Devon Key, man. I know he was playing in place of Locke, but man, bench him. There was a lot of hate in the side chat as the game was going on between the DBR teams and some K&K guys as well. So you're not alone in that thinking. I'll give you that. Roy says, well, I expected this horseman. We are not what everyone thinks we are. Shot themselves in the foot. I won't blame one person. It was the whole team. Yeah. Another comment coming in on that side. No offense and no defense. It is what it is, says Dan. He's worried about KC coming up as well. Not nearly as excited about what the next week comes in as. Scott's coming in saying, felt like a snowball rolling downhill throughout the entire game. It just kept getting bigger and plowing you over. And yeah, agreed. You first look at this game and the way the defense came out and they were like, oh, Derrick Henry was getting stopped. He was getting stifled to start the game. We'll go back, rewind the tape, watch the replay. It was looking pretty good. But by the end of the game, it was Derrick Henry doing what he wanted, Lamar Jackson kind of doing what he wanted, and a 41-10 game that snowballed completely out of control. So I'll agree with you there as well. Just a few more, and I'll let you talk a little bit more. I think we'll switch over to the offensive side of the ball and maybe talk about what's been going on over there, see if we got any more on the defense. Martin's coming in, though, over on YouTube. Good to see you, Martin. He says, Ravens are a Super Bowl contending team. We're one of the youngest teams in the league and rebuilding. We also went away from our strength on defense by not blitzing. We'll regroup and do better. Yeah, I was really interested. We talked about a pre-game show about how we would attack Lamar Jackson. And I think you're absolutely right. We did go a little bit more contain. We didn't try to necessarily just get upfield and get after. We wanted to make sure that we controlled where we were at as we were trying to get upfield. And that worked a little bit to begin with, but in the end, it wasn't enough. So just want to make sure. Dan says the Denver Broncos are not a zone defensive team. Why play zone? Just man up all game, man to man. And that's a little bit of what we're talking about as well. This came into my mind, but I was like, if this is as bad as it gets, I'm okay with it, because Dan's saying this game reminds me a lot of last year's Miami game. This is a great way to kind of maybe round out the defensive segment here, Trevor. It looks bad, 41-10. It's not 70 points. It didn't feel like that 70-point loss to Miami, but I think this might be in that same ilk. This might be our Miami game, our biggest lopsided, ugly looking, what the heck happened type of game for the defense. I might agree with that. What do you, again, just round it all up on this defense. We'll flip over to the offensive side, sir.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as the Miami game. I think that was just atrocious, and I mean, this one wasn't fun to watch either. But I think that there's some bright spots going forward, and to know that hey, you just faced the probably the best offense in the league and the best quarterback and running back tandem in the league, and you're probably not going to face that the rest of the year, anyways. We'll see what happens in the playoffs, but you're not facing that the rest of the year, I should say, at least in the regular season. Playoffs, we'll see. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, but for for the Broncos, I just think that again, we said it, and I said it earlier in the season. I said, now enjoy this defense playing at an elite level and playing at a high level, but they're going to have the lapses too. They're going to have their down games too. Can the offense step up and do their part too? I don't think they did that today. And it's probably not going to be the last time the defense has one of their down games. I'm just being honest about it. They're going to face, there's a couple, really good offenses they're going to be facing going forward. KC, Atlanta, that, are going to give Broncos trouble. And, Cincinnati as well with Joe Burrow just threw 5 touchdown passes today, 5 or 6. So, again, it's just, you're going to face good offenses. It's just, can your offense step up enough for you? This team's got to do that. And so we shall see, can the Broncos play complementary football going forward? We shall see. The defense, I know it's easy to blame them today for this loss, but I'm more concerned about the offense and what they can put on the field going forward. Again, you want to see strides in the right direction. I thought there was plays to be made today. Bo was kind of inconsistent today, I would say. There were some overthrows that I think were there. That wide open pass of Franklin was there. That could have been a big, game changer, I think, in this one. We shall see. We never know. We'll never know, obviously, but it could have been. I think the defense struggled today, but let's see going forward. I mean, it's just 1 week of them really struggling this year. It's 1 week. Let's see what they do continue on going forward. They're not going to face this type of an elite offense, I would say, with the quarterback and running back tandem like they did this week today. So I'm willing to give the defense the benefit of the doubt because they've stepped up pretty big for Denver this year and has put them in this position to possibly be a playoff team.
Yeah. Again, not put in the best position throughout this game. Didn't have their best game, but again, if we're making that run in the playoffs, this is a type of team we're going to have to figure out how to beat if we're going to be making that run in the playoffs, because eventually you might just match up against this team again if that happens to be the case. You kind of alluded to that when you started talking about this defense, but right now, we're just it's going to be a tough team to play against, especially when the Baltimore Ravens were angry and mad and at home, and they came out with intent. You know what I mean? And they're paid to play as well, and they came out and they played obviously very well. Jordan's kind of in an agreement coming over on YouTube, says the teams we beat, except for Tampa, are really bad offenses. The defense needs to prove themselves against more good offenses like the Chiefs. I bring that across because you said that, we'd have a challenge versus the Chiefs, but really it's that Chiefs defense that I think is going to be the biggest challenge, not the Chiefs offense. Let's go ahead and flip it, though, over to the Denver Broncos offense. Like we talked a little bit about Bo Nix. I'll talk a little bit about that as well. I thought at first when he came out looking very good, looking poised, looking confident, running when needed and necessary. But as the game went on, and a lot of that has to do with, hey, we were trying to get back into this game. As the game went on, this is a quarterback that kind of fell back on maybe a few bad habits of not necessarily stepping into the throw, staying in the pocket when he could, resetting feet and delivering down the field. And, even in the first half, had trouble maybe with some accuracy issues that didn't necessarily clean themselves up in the second half. That being said, here's also a quarterback that went out there and, threw a touchdown, caught a touchdown. I mean, he was out there dealing a little bit today. So, I mean, I guess he didn't throw 2 touchdowns. He caught a touchdown. I thought he was going to throw a touchdown. Caught a touchdown. He was out there dealing today a lot for the Denver Broncos. So, how do you feel about Bo Nix in a game like this, where, like I said, it kind of got away from him and it puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback, especially when you're trying to come back in a game and be relevant?
Yeah, I mean, and also mentioned that Denver really didn't have a run game all day today, so it was really either Bo was going to shine and step up to the plate and hopefully help Denver stay into this game, or he was going to struggle and it was going to kind of get out of hand. And I just think it's a lot of pressure being put on Bo to perform. That's why I say I think going forward in the offseason, I think you got to look at the running back position and try to get an upgrade there, try to help Bo out so you're not putting him in these type of situations where he has to be the guy and that's it. You don't have any other alternative options because you can't get the run game going. I don't think it was just Bo on this one. I don't want to sit there and harp on Bo all
Oh,
day
no, no,
long.
I just wanted to
And
get an
yeah,
evaluation of Bo in this, and then we can go to all the
yeah,
other pieces too, but, Bo's takes a lot of
yeah.
attention, so I wanted to get your thoughts, man. I don't wanna paint it as, "Hey, this is a Bo problem," either, so go
No,
right
no, no,
ahead, sir.
no. And I was going to say I think the offensive line let him down today a little bit, and especially in pass blocking. I think that he was under pressure all day. A part of this is Bo Nix getting happy feet in the pocket. For me, is he's getting pressured a lot, and the offensive
Mhm,
linemen are losing their matchups in pass blocking, and it's really making him really having to kind of scramble. He's getting uncomfortable in the pocket, and he's having to really scramble, and that's when he's starting to get that happy feet, and he starts throwing off his back foot. So I think it was an okay game for Bo today. I don't think it was good enough, obviously, to win, and you would want him to be better. Um,
mhm,
but I think that again, he's mobile. We've seen Bo Nix be mobile. That's what he's something he does very good. He's very good at that. But the pocket, being a better pocket passing quarterback is something he's got to get going. And I think eventually, I think he'll get there. He's still learning. He's a rookie quarterback. This is a very tough matchup for him. He's on the road. I guess
mhm.
a defense that's one the best defense in the league as far as stopping the run. So it's going to probably take your run game away. So you're going to have to pass the football more than you would probably like to. But I think that again, it's one of those games where you brush it off, you learn from it, you watch the film, and you move forward and try to do better. And again, he's a rookie quarterback; he's going to learn, and I
Mhm.
think he's starting to grow in certain aspects. The pocket being a better pocket passing quarterback, I think for me, especially those deep balls, and he's missing on those once he starts hitting on those, you'll see this offense, I think, even get more explosive, down the field. And I just think those opportunities just quite are not quite there for him, or he's not capitalizing on those opportunities quite yet.
Mhm.
But I'm encouraged because at least they're there, and we're seeing that they're there. They're showing positive signs of Bo Nix being those deep balls being there for Nix. It's just him hitting on those, and I think eventually that'll come.
Yeah, Martin's in agreement on the wide receiver side of things and kind of getting in line. He says when Franklin and Bo are on the same page, I believe that they're going to be a dynamic duo. And he believes they will, and that they're going to be a dynamic duo. I got a little tied up in those words there. Sorry. Um, y- uh, Honestly, if I look and I want to grade out Bo Nix on this game, he carried this team in so many ways. And for he's out there, he's as a rookie, even though we're talking about a 41-10 loss. Man, I'm really grading this guy out at like probably a B minus performance if I'm getting him on a report card because there was a lot of things that weren't necessarily in his hands, as you said, whether it was the pass rush, whether people are talking about, you know, dropped or drop balls and missed opportunities in that regard. Um, what he did with his feet, what he did as a leader on that field on the field, I was I still feel very confident even within a 41-10 loss. I'm looking like B minus type of grade for Bo Nix in this game. And most of the time when you're talking about a guy who only was able to put up 10 points on the board, you'd probably be like, well, this guy's not he's drinking the Kool-Aid. Let's just put it that way. No, go back and look at the tape. There was plenty of things to be really excited about. You don't have Alex Forsyth walked right back into your lap. Maybe there's more opportunity, as a quarterback to get more things done, just as
Garrett
an
Bowles,
example. So
Garrett Bowles.
Garrett Bowles, and again, we go back. And I'm surprised we don't have any Ravens fans because it seems like we've had a lot of competitors and their fans in here. But man, the Baltimore Ravens are a great team, and
Mhm.
they were angry and they were mad, and they have two MVP candidates, and they're a well coached team and a great organization. You know what I mean? It's not a team that's a big mess one year and all of a sudden they've got some talent on their team, and so you expect something. No, there's a constant, within the NFL. So it's what a lot of teams hope to be, is a Baltimore Ravens on the field and in the front office. And you just got to give them hats off because, again, I think, as we said, Super Bowl contenders. They were to begin the year. They had a 5-game win streak busted by the Cleveland Browns, and then they get Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos at home. And yeah, it's a tough loss. I knew this would be, if this is going to be a game, like I said, I think I had a 35, well, I have it right here, 35-27 Denver Broncos win. I knew that it was going to be, just an all-out race, just points and points and points. We're talking about what? A combined 62 points. You know what I mean? That's a lot of points in an NFL football game, man. I knew that it was going to have to be a track race if we were going to be in this game. And I was hoping this Denver Broncos defense could do enough to keep this Baltimore offense to 27 points. Simple as that. If we could do that, we could get the win. And unfortunately, that's not what came out of this game. It'll be interesting to go back, watch the tape, come back here on Tuesday, Trevor. I know that you guys are going to be without me. You're going to watch the tape. I'll get, if I get a chance, maybe I'll send a few notes your guys' way. I won't be here on Tuesday, man, but make sure you catch Trevor. And I know we might have at least one other horseman and maybe a stepfather. And we'll have a fantastic show come Tuesday, but it'll be interesting to go back and look at this tape and then start to project where this Denver Broncos team will be heading into Kansas City as well, man. Final thoughts on this game and what you're excited to maybe look at, even in a 41-10 loss, as we go back and really evaluate this game and this team.
Yeah, I mean, final thoughts. I mean, you just gotta, wipe the slate clean and move forward. I mean, it's kind of, that's kind of what you do when you lose by this, big of a margin. There's very little positive takeaways from this game. When you look at it, I think that, the coaches are probably going to not be so happy when watching these. The players probably won't be as well. So you got to wipe the slate clean and go forward. Try to, I think, win on the road in Kansas City. I mean, again, it's not going to be easy by any means. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy beating the Chiefs. I'm just saying I think it's a more manageable opponent for Denver than Baltimore was, because I think that Baltimore just on a different level offensively from what the Chiefs, have been recently, at least this year anyways. I think their defense has carried them more often than not. So I think Denver, that's a more winnable game for the Broncos going forward. But no, I just think the Broncos fans, again, I know it's tough. This is very tough. But this is a learning experience for this team. This is still a very young football team with a young quarterback that's trying to learn, a little bit more about themselves, getting that chemistry going forward. And I think that over the last couple of weeks, they've been able to capitalize that and get some victories. Now they're playing stiffer opponents, and tougher opponents. So they're going to get tested a little bit more. And you've seen that today. They're going to continue to get tested going forward. Not only after the Chiefs, you got Atlanta. You got the Bengals coming up, so you got other opponents, the Chargers, so that you're going to be tested upon. So it's not going to be an easy road to trying to get to the playoffs. This team is definitely going to have to earn it going forward. But I do think that there's enough there that this team can be a playoff team, and there's been some ups and downs, but as long as this team learns and gets through it, I think they can be better because of it. Again, it's tough today, but there's a new day tomorrow. It's a new week going forward, and you have to win these divisional games if you want a chance, to make the playoffs. You have to win in the AFC West division. You have to have a winning record. We're damn near close to it to even be considered going to the playoffs. So they're going to have to take care of business regardless if it's in Kansas City or if it's in Denver when they play the Chiefs later on in the year. You have to be competitive, and you have to try to win games the best you can against your AFC West divisional rivals. So going forward, again, just positive vibes. I think continue to be here. The team is still 5-4 going forward. Still, I think the uptick is still there for this team. Tough opponent today, but I think that Denver in the long run will be better because of it.
Yeah, I like the way that you put that. And I noticed you put it in there a couple of different times, because this is, I go back to something I hear in training camp a ton, and that's steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron, right? I think this is one of those games where you go in and you go up against a tough team like this, and you know what it's like now. Like you said, it's as as one of our viewers, one of the posse pointed out, we've been going up against pretty soft offenses, unless you want to count Tampa Bay. Well, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, that's not a soft offense. You know what I mean? This is an opportunity to sharpen, to get better, to know what is out there and start to game plan your against it. We got another game coming up in a week versus the Kansas City Chiefs, man. This is a big game. It's our opportunity to play the upset on the Kansas City Chiefs, to be the first one to knock them down, to go in there and get a win for us and set us back on track. And honestly, as you pointed it out, I think it's maybe the easier opponent between these two teams as we line up Baltimore Ravens and Kansas City Chiefs in back-to-back weeks, man. Pearl came in here, says it was not good. Sorry, I got busy. Broncos just got outplayed. I just got to give a shout out to Pearl because we love Pearl, and we got to get out of here. We go 30 minutes on a post-game show every single game, guys and gals. So make sure you're liking, sharing, subscribing, making sure you're hitting that notification bell so that you're always knowing exactly when we go live. You never know, we might have some out of the ordinary pod, and you might you don't want to miss out on that either. We also have two other excellent shows: Tuesday 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and Friday 7:30 Mountain Standard Time. Make sure you're joining us on that next episode. We'll be breaking down all the film, giving you our thoughts on this Broncos loss, projecting a little bit towards that Kansas City game as well. But then that Friday is when we're going to give you all our thoughts versus the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll get in there. We'll mix it up. Posses, thank you so much, man. I know that Phil came in here, dropped stars early. Got to give a shout out to him, but to everyone from Dan to Pearl to Jordan to Ernie to Jody, one of the horsemen that jumped in there, Scott, Graham, Martin. I know
Roy.
There's one other one.
Roy.
Go ahead. Roy, there you go. I knew, I was like, it was on the tip of my tongue. I knew it was in there. And anybody else that I missed, thank you so much. We've been growing, but getting bigger. We appreciate you. We get out of here one way and one way only. Make sure you keep your boots, right in your stirrups. Make sure you keep those guns in your holsters. And always, as always, keep the Denver Broncos in your heart. We'll see you Tuesday. Have a great evening.